yell barracuda. Everybody says, huh? What? You yell shark. We've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Shut up. I'm rich. I'm richer than all this, you Hollywood trash.
A, you can never go too far. B, if I'm gonna get busted, it is not gonna be by a guy like that.
I'll be back.
Here's Johnny.
It's the Al Travis Show. Very happy to have him on. Representative Walter Hudson. Mr. Hudson, how are you, sir?
Great. Having a great start to another week.
All right. We've been doing this. I just want to find out from everybody, your Thanksgiving, is it traditional turkey and the stuffing and mashed potatoes? And is it just down the line? And do you like bigger or better when I mean the number of people? Are you big on as many people as can show up? Or I'm getting to the point, my old age, my hearing, a little smaller would be nice. Your thoughts, your Thanksgiving thoughts?
Traditional all the way. And
okay.
I always prefer less than more when it comes to social gatherings. So
okay, and I think there's a reason, because you're talking, you just can't. We had almost 30 people, and you can't get to everybody and have any kind of conversation next to how's your job, and then you move on. I don't like that at all. Is there anything on the traditional Thanksgiving menu that you would get rid of? I'm throwing out the canned cherry cranberry thing. Can't handle it. Don't like it. Don't like the taste of it. Don't like it in my mouth. Don't need it on the plate. Your thoughts?
Well, although canned cranberries are always an option, I don't have to make that choice because we have really nice cranberry sauce that canned is available. But yeah, I suppose I would agree with you that that's probably the thing that could go.
Okay, fair enough. All right. I didn't. I was going to get you on here just to talk about your Thanksgiving, but I'm doing that with everybody, finding out what's normal and what's not. This was a unbelievable weekend in news, in my opinion, for our sitting governor. And I don't, folks, I think you got to take it with a grain of salt. The ex-post from the Minnesota Department of Human Services employees came out with a very in-depth conversation, email or X, what do you want to call it, about how they believe Governor Walz is 100% at fault for this going on. Mr. Hudson, Representative, anybody can make up a post. I doubt 480 people elected the guy to be in charge of the Minnesota Department of Human Services X file. But it came out, and this thing caught on like wildfire. This was on the major news networks. This was everywhere. I would imagine you probably agree with the sentiment of the text, but how does a X post, when we have no clue who wrote it, if you will, whether the 480 people that work for that are behind it, how does it get that much oomph unless people want to believe that?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's obviously you have to take what you hear from an anonymous source with a grain of salt, an unverified anonymous source. Now, what I will tell you is that anecdotally, members of the fraud committee in the Minnesota House of Representatives have been in contact with whistleblowers from within DHS who claim to be connected to or directly control that particular account. And the stories that we've been told in person, or that members of our community have been told in person, match the tone and tenor and general description of that post. And so I have every reason to take it at face value. However, I think the reason why in a claim like this, an unverified anonymous claim like this, gets so much traction and resonates as true to so many people is because it fits the fact pattern, right? Like it fits the pattern of facts that we've seen in terms of how this fraud has, at the very best, been incompetently mismanaged from virtually, it seems, every person in the chain of administration over it. But it also resonates with the fact that the guy sitting at the tippity top is Governor Tim Walz, and it's happening under his watch.
So a couple other things happened as well, and I agree with you 100%. The president, I will used a derogatory term for the governor as far as his mental acuity goes. And the governor goes back and wants his MRI. The governor is battling names and calling about stuff which gets him the front page of the papers, which is fine. But like the New York Times literally comes out and they write a report about the Somalis, taking money and sending to Al-Shabaab, and they do an entire page on this. Walls seems fixated, so does the president, by the way, on Walls. They fix on like this, and they seem to be missing the bigger picture. If those papers are coming out against Walls and saying, this is what's going on under your tutelage, he's got to be feeling the ground shift out from underneath him, right? I mean, he was going to get all this money from all across the country to run for governor. Is it falling out from underneath him?
I suspect that because look, this is not. We had this conversation when we talked one of the times recently where what is presented as news is often very, very, very old news, right?
Yep.
Okay. The New York Times didn't just decide that they were going to take this issue seriously all of a sudden. The Star Tribune didn't just decide that they were going to start putting out pieces criticizing whether or not Tim Walz should run for a third term. A decision was made from up on high. That's my speculation. A decision's been made from up on high within the Democrat Party and the Democrat coalition that they want to replace Tim Walz on the ticket for governor in 2026. That's what this is about. So, all this celebration and chest pounding that a lot of folks on our side are doing right now, and perceiving this as a breath of fresh air. Oh, wow, the mainstream media is finally paying attention to this issue. Yeah, strategically, because they're hoping that there's still an opportunity to get somebody else on the ticket so that the Democrats don't have to wear this millstone down to the bottom of the abyss.
Okay. You bring it up. This is the interesting point. The names thrown out that I've seen: Angie Craig, stop going for the Senate. You can be governor. We want to slide you over. Or Dean Phillips, who said he's out. Guess what? You can be governor. We'll slide you in that spot and you'll win no problem. Do you feel, how do I put that? We want to call it to Biden, right? They're going to Biden the Governor Walz. They're going to say, hey, you just can't do it. We're swapping you out. And you're saying this is on high, right? Governor's on high of Minnesota, so it's somebody higher than him across the nation. Will Minnesota Democrats say to the national Democrats, oh, you're right, and just walk away from this guy? Or will he go to a primary and say, the heck with you, I'm going to win this thing?
Well, I'm sure Walz is the type who he's going to go out kicking and screaming, right? Like there's no way he's going to just step aside. But I think his position has been weakened for a couple of different reasons, right? Okay. It's been weakened because of this fraud. Obviously, that's like the big public facing issue. But what's less obvious and happening beneath the surface, and again, this is anecdotal, is his position has been weakened because the Democrat Party, particularly here in the state of Minnesota, as we've talked about before, has been completely co-opted by insane radical Marxist revolutionaries who want to see the United States overturned. They want to see it dismantled, and they'll tell you that to your face. And they don't believe that he's done a good enough job of advancing that cause. Recall the progressives, as they call themselves, which are these radicals that I'm talking about, the ideological revolutionaries within the Democrat Party, the DSA types, Democrat Socialists of America. They were very, very upset with Walz this year. Yeah. Because they had the trifecta where they had this total control, and they just didn't want to wake up to the reality that was over when we took a tie in the House. And so towards the end of the session, when Walz had to make certain concessions that his side did not want him to make, they remember that, and they stormed his office, including many elected officials, as you may recall.
Yep.
Stormed his office, pounding on the door. And those offenses have not been forgotten. So he's getting attacked from both sides. He's getting attacked from his left flank and from the moderates.
Okay, so then be careful what you wish for. If you're the head Democrats and you're saying, okay, Walz, we can't take this over the finish line anymore. We think, much like Biden, it's not going to be a win for us. They pull him off. You open that door. Yeah, they would like a Phillips or a Craig. I get that. But couldn't you just as honestly see a Ilhan Omar saying, you know what? I'll step up. DSA, here we are. This is Minnesota, for heaven's sakes. We should be the most progressive state in the union. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden it becomes almost like the Mandani thing in New York. You really want to, you know what I'm saying? You're shaking your head. It's radio. I'm not off, right? You watch it. If they open that door up, that could open up a lot. Somebody else stepping in that district to win, and then she has a shot at governor.
Yeah, what I predict would happen is that you would see that battle between the crazies and the moderates play out in a contest between whoever gets endorsed versus whoever ends up prevailing in the primary. So typically, the way these things happen is the Democrat Party, unlike Republicans in this state, Republicans we tend to endorse and then get behind the endorsed candidate. Although that might not be the
Okay.
case this time around for reasons we won't talk about today. But the Democrats, on the other hand, have very commonly paid no mind to their party's endorsement. And so what you'll likely see is an endorsement of a Mamdani type,
Yeah.
because that's the people who show up to their conventions is the
Yeah.
DSA radicals. But then in the primary, a well-funded, more moderate candidate. And the question becomes, can they prevail? Because they tried that in New York too, right?
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
the more moderate, politically relatively sane folks within the Democrat Party didn't try to stop Mamdani in New York, but apparently the winds on their side are shifting so far to the left that even the establishment can't keep up.
And one more quick question before we go to break. Then will this activate even more Republicans to give this a shot? I think some might have stayed out because it's Walz for a third term, and he's going to raise all this money. If he's out and we're starting blank with 11 months to go before the election, do you think anyone else gets in for governor on the Republican side?
I think it would have the opposite effect. I think the reason we
Oh.
have so many candidates right now is because it's Walz and everybody's
Okay.
eager to take their shot, because
All right.
he's viewed as being so vulnerable. If you got an unknown in there or somebody who we don't currently know who it would be, that's probably going to dissuade anybody, especially at this stage, from getting into the race.
Fair enough. Representative Walter Hudson with us. We got lots more to talk about, including what happened in St. Paul here last week. We'll do that right after this on the Al Travis Show.
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts." But in a world full of AI and fake news, where can Minnesotans find the facts? Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's go-to source for fact-based analysis and common sense solutions for taxes, energy, public safety, and our kids' education. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
I'm grateful to have him, Representative Walter Hudson, on the program. The other story I want to talk about happened a couple days ago now. St. Paul, federal agencies, ICE and some others, Homeland Security, are after a guy, a Honduran man, tried to get him. He races into St. Paul into an abode. He's there evidently on, of course, being here illegally and had criminal history, according to the police. They call the St. Paul police for backup. Just watch our back. And somehow somebody must know what's going on, because they were absolutely correct. 60, 70 outsiders show up, start fighting with police. There's tear gas. They're throwing rocks at the cops. There were actually two representatives there. I got their names here. Hold on. Athena Hollins of St. Paul, who, okay, you live in St. Paul, you might be around. But Lish Kozlowski of Duluth just happened to be in the area. I don't understand it. Here's my problem. Are we serious at a point, sir, in Minnesota, that cops show up in the neighborhood, I presume, going after a bad guy? And they don't like them big, massive ones where you get 15, 20 people and separate them. This is going after one guy. They show up, and my first instinct is to think the cops are wrong. Have we gone so far down this road now that Orange Man bad, anybody in the police department side, I get maybe you hate ICE, maybe every ICE agent bad. These are your St. Paul police officers standing in front of you who try to protect you day and night all the time. I am concerned we have gotten to a point almost to the fact, Nazi, we use this term Nazi and Hitler and fascist so much. We think everybody's a Jewish person being taken to a camp. We're to the point I don't know that we can come back.
Well, certainly the folks who showed up there are at that point, right? Like, most people can't even conceive of thinking about taking time out of their day to go chase cops and throw rocks at them. That is insane behavior. It's also criminal behavior. And what's remarkable about it is that, as you note, two of my Minnesota House Democrat colleagues were engaged in that behavior and supporting it. So it's not just that people are crazy enough to do it. It's that the controlling interest in the Democrat Party, because these are high, at least one of them is a very high-ranking Minnesota House Democrat. Mm-hmm. The controlling interest in the Democrat Party is chaos. It's throw rocks at law enforcement. It's assume the worst of anybody who's wearing the uniform. It's interfere in operations to take actual bad guys off the street. That is, in fact, where we're at with that particular subset of people who, for some reason, Minnesotans keep electing.
How do you sell that, though? What I don't understand, 90% of these police officers and or ICE agents or whoever were there a year ago when Joe Biden was in charge. Are they instantly inhumane humans now, and that's our first go-to? I just don't see how I can get to that point. Now, obviously, in the 40s, it happened. I get it, but I'm just to the point, I can't believe we're there, and here's my question. So, Mr. Hudson, if we get 3 years down the road and a new president gets in from the other party, are now all of a sudden these people good enough to trust again? Or is the trust gone when it's gone, and you don't build that back up?
Well, I think what's really going on there, I mean, you note this cycle of when Democrats are in charge, there's less chaos in the streets, and when Republicans are in charge, they get the green light to go out and throw rocks and break things. That is organized, and again, this is my personal belief, right? It's my observation, it's what I see, is that there's a red light and a green light for this type of disorder. And when Democrats are in charge, it's not that they're crazy, stop believing the things, or even stop wanting to engage in this type of behavior. It's that the spigot of material support turns off because it's not beneficial to Democrats when they're in charge. See, these people are not just doing this of their own reconnaissance. They are being supported materially and directed and trained and guided materially by a larger left-wing apparatus.
Well, that's not good news. Okay. Thank you. I am out of time. I don't know what to do with that. I got scared when I watch it because you see it on the news in California, you see it in Oregon, you see it in other places. This is in St. Paul, Minnesota, where we instantly want to believe our police officers are not our friends and our helpers. I don't want to go down that road. Got to fly. Appreciate you, Representative Walter Hudson. Always appreciate you having on the program. I really do.
Thank you.